Hello everyone, my name is Aiden Desai and welcome back to another Educators for Orange County video. Today we're going to continue on with microeconomics through Unit 2 and we're going to talk about demand, which is a really crucial topic in any microeconomics course. So first, what is a market? A market is just any institution that brings together buyers and sellers. So buyers, typically the demanders, sellers are the suppliers. Think of it this way. We are the buyers. When we go to a store, we buy things, right? So we are the demanders of goods, and the store that we go to are the sellers, and they supply the goods to us. So typically, this is always the relationship. This is the product market where we are buying products. There's also something called the factor market, where it's kind of the opposite. So buyers are the suppliers, sellers are the demanders. Don't worry about this yet. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But just for now, and usually this is the case for most examples, buyers, demanders, sellers, suppliers. So now we're going to talk about the law of demand. So as a price and quantity of a good or service, they have an inverse relationship. So as price increases, quantity of a good demanded decreases. Price decreasing will make the quantity of a good demanded increase. And we can represent this with the demand schedule. So at a price of 50 cents, there's a quantity demanded of 9. At a price of $1, we have a quantity demanded of 6. Now, what this means, this does not mean that at a price of 50 cents, the actual quantity demanded is 9. You guys need to understand this and make this really clear. So the demand schedule does not mean that this is how many goods are demanded. So if we look at $3, for example, that does not mean at $3, there's only one good demanded. This is an offer to buy, right? So what I mean by an offer to buy is that this is how many goods would be demanded if the price was $1. So 6 goods would be demanded if the price is $1. 4 goods would be demanded if the price is $1.50. And in the actual market, let's say the price is actually $2.50. Well, if the price is actually $2.50, and that's how much the prices of, let's say, an iPhone was going for, if it was $2.50, unrealistic, I know, but we're just using that for this example, the quantity demanded would actually be 2. But we still represent the other prices on the demand curve. So on the left-hand side, we have the demand schedule. That translates directly into the demand curve graph if we actually represent it in a graphical format. But in this example, they don't exactly match up. I apologize for that, but it's really simple. You just graph the points, and you're going to end up with a downward sloping demand curve. And on the y-axis, we see price. Price will always be on the y-axis, and quantity. This goes for most of your graphs in microeconomics. Price on the y and quantity on the x. So now we're going to talk about the determinants of demand. So you guys will have to memorize these. Later when we talk about supply, there are also determinants of supply, but they are pretty different in terms of demand and supply, but still you want to memorize these and have a good understanding of them because they are really crucial in microeconomics, and they will be important for any in-class like school exam, as well as like an AP exam, IB exam, whatever exam you guys are taking. So tastes, so it's just kind of taste of a good, I guess you can say it's like an increase in almost like a desire or a need or like a wanting for a good. And we can also have income, how much a consumer will make, like salary, pretty simple. Price of a substitute good, so you have beef and pork, or you have like pencils and mechanical pencils, just substitute goods. So you kind of, it's something where you buy like one or the other. Usually you don't buy both, right? Or a price of a complementary good, things you buy together, burger and fries you buy together, right? You can buy an iPhone and like AirPods, something like that together, right? So those are complementary goods. Expectations. So the example that I have there, expect the shortage in the iPhone supply isn't the best example for this. Mainly you want to think of it in terms of price. So let's say that the price of the iPhone, you know that it's going to increase, or you think it's going to increase in 2 months. You think it's going to increase by $150. Well, why would you wait to buy it and pay $150 more when you can buy it now and just pay the price that it's right now? And you'll end up saving $150 in the long run. Also, number of buyers, so how many people are actually buying goods and services. So now let's talk about shifts versus movements. So in the top, you can see a movement along the curve, and in the bottom picture, we can see a shift of the curve. So what's the difference? Well, in the first picture, we just see kind of like the lines representing the quantity. So as you can see, we want to, on any graph, we want to label like the price and quantity you guys are at. So at Q1, P1, that is the price and quantity, right? And then Q2, P2 is another price and quantity, like combination of goods, a quantity of goods that are going to be demanded at that price level of P2. And in the other picture, we see the actual demand curve shifting. Well, what's the difference? So a movement along the curve is only a change in quantity demanded. You guys must understand this. This is also a really important concept. So this is caused by a change in price. So let's say we start off at Q1, P1, right? And then the price of this good, let's say it's mechanical pencils, the price of mechanical pencils decreases to P2. Well, this will cause an increase in quantity demanded. Obviously, if the price is lower, more people will want to buy this good. So more people will buy mechanical pencils, and we will end up at Q2. Now, notice the demand curve isn't shifting. This is a really clear distinction you must make on any exam, any macroeconomics course, once again. The quantity demanded is increasing, the demand is not increasing. However, if we look at the second curve, the demand is increasing, and we will talk about this in a little bit as well. So a shift in demand in the actual demand curve is caused by determinants of demand that I mentioned before, and here they are once again. So let's go through a few examples. So let's go through the market for Coke. So let's say it's announced that Coke can cure cancer. What do you think is going to happen for in the market for Coke? What do you think is going to happen? All right, so if you didn't get a chance to think of it now, maybe refer back to this, and if you guys are taking notes, take notes of this. Try to do it through memory, but obviously this really comes natural through repetition. So you guys want to keep finding examples. There's a lot of examples online that you guys can use to get better at this. But if we look at the determinant of demand, the first one that pops out to me is taste, right? So taste for Coke is going to increase because more people want to have Coke. Obviously, if you can cure cancer, right? And let's go to the next one, market for iPhones. So if the price of iPhones decreases by $50, what do you think is going to happen? This one should be really easy. As I mentioned earlier, um, price is not a determinant of demand. Price changes quantity demanded. So if the price of iPhones is going to be decreasing by $50, we're going to increase the quantity of iPhones demanded. Now let's go on the next one. In the market for Apple Pencils, what happens to in the market for Apple Pencils if the price of iPads decreases? You guys should be able to recognize these patterns extremely quickly, recognize these relationships between goods and markets really quickly. And that, once again, comes with practice. So if the price of iPads is decreasing, price decreasing, that means the quantity of iPads demanded is going to, the quantity of iPads demanded is going to increase, right? And well, iPads and Apple Pencils are complementary goods. A lot of people use Apple Pencils for note taking, right? So if I want to use my Apple Pencil with an iPad, well, I just bought an iPad, so I might buy an Apple Pencil, right? So that means the demand for Apple Pencils is going to increase. And it's make sure it's not quantity demanded of Apple Pencils increasing, it's actually demand curve. Because if we look at the determinants of demand, the price of a complementary good, which in the case of the Apple Pencil is the iPad, is changing. And let's go for the last one in the market for Spotify. The price of Apple Music decreases. Well, if the price of Apple Music is decreasing, then more people are going to want to buy Apple Music, right? It's cheaper, so the quantity of Apple Music demanded will increase. As a result, if we go back to the determinants of demand, we have substitute goods, Apple Music, Spotify. Usually you won't subscribe to both. What's the point, right? They're both music streaming services. They pretty much do the same thing. So if more people want Apple Music, then obviously the entire demand curve for Spotify is going to decrease. And once again, to establish this, decreases in demand are going to be shifts left in the demand curve, and increases in demand are shifts right in the demand curve. So finally, let's talk about why the demand curve actually slopes downward. So first of all, we have the income effect. With a fixed income, as prices are rising, a consumer can buy less goods. When prices fall, a consumer can buy more goods. This is a pretty obvious relationship. Let's say I make $100,000 and the price of an iPhone is $500. I can buy X amount of iPhones, right? If the price of iPhones falls, if I spend my entire income on iPhones, well, I can buy more iPhones now because the price of iPhones is lower. It's a pretty obvious relationship. Another one is a substitution effect. So this is a little more complex to understand, but it's not that hard. So with a fixed income, consumers will substitute a relatively more expensive good for another good as the price of that one falls. So once again, going back to this, let's say like the price of Apple Music is decreasing, or let's say the price of Apple Music is actually increasing. Let's use this example. Price of Apple Music is increasing. Well, if that's increasing, then less people want to subscribe to Apple Music because Spotify is going to be relatively cheaper in comparison to the price of Apple Music. So more people are going to buy Spotify, less people are going to buy Apple Music. That concludes our video for today on demand. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day.